Soulmate with Brian.
In the night, I whisper a prayer underneath my breath. I've been feeling love.
This show is for our global viewers, but also for future Christian musicians and artists and producers.
Amazing.
So I just want to talk about the arts
Sure.
and
Wow.
production and videography. As a Christian, what are your takeaways? As a Christian videographer and YouTuber, what are some things that are important to you? Because you're not a pastor or you're not. It's not like Christian content, right?
Yeah.
But every time you produce a video or meet people, what are some things that are really on your heart, and how has God led you?
I think for me creatively, I think my search, I think it's something God put in me before I knew Him, is just like, what does it mean to be human? What is a human?
Human.
And I think we can find so much truth in the Scripture that tells us who we are in God, but I just think that's one of my, I think it will be a lifelong thing, really. Like, what does it mean to be human? I think creatively that's something that I explore. So that's why I love hearing people's stories.
Yeah.
And I think a portrait is powerful. I think an image is powerful. I think a song is powerful. It has an amazing way of moving us.
Yes.
Like, I've got this friend of mine, Youngchul. I always say he's the best photographer in the world. I went to one of his exhibitions once, and I just looked at one of the photos, and it was like a street photography photo, and I just looked at that person, and I just found myself kind of coming, like, just tears.
Oh, really?
There was something about it that was so powerful, and it was an image, and I was like, I didn't know if that person in the image knew Jesus or didn't know Jesus, but I just felt like the heart of God for that person in that image. And I think, we all have, I think there's this amazing dynamic, and I think there's nothing new under the sun. And I think that could be like, I think sometimes we can think, I did this new thing, right, creatively. There's nothing new under the sun, but then there's also an amazing dynamic that actually your perspective is in some ways so uniquely, your story and your perspective is so uniquely you.
Right.
So even the way...
Even songs, right?
Even songs,
the same
yeah.
song, but different person is different,
Yeah. And I think that's something we can always bring creatively into it. And
Right. What are some of your favorite, I guess, worship songs, like Christian songs?
Sure.
Or even pop songs? We were talking about, pop artists as well, So what are some of your favorite songs and musicians, that you listen to and you're inspired by, blessed by,
Yeah. I mean, I love music. There's actually, so in the Christian world, there's a guy called Jonathan Ogden.
And I try to remember the words that you've spoken. In the night, I whisper a prayer underneath my breath. Could you lift me up? Could you lift me up?
Yeah.
I just soak in a lot of his music. So helpful. Like, it just speaks of Jesus.
Yes.
He kind of speaks from the Bible a lot. So amazing artist. And then there's kind of, I'll tell you a story about this. So I went to a performance. There was 3 artists. It was in Kentish Town, and this first artist was a support act, and then there was another artist, and then the headliner. I was so affected by the support act, the first one. It was a guy called Matthew Halsall, and he's a trumpeter. I was so affected by one of his songs that I just had to leave.
Really?
I just almost felt like so impacted by the music. And I went home and I just listened to that song on like repeat for another 3 times. I was just like, what have I just listened to? This is phenomenal. I couldn't listen to any the headliner or any of the other artists because it affected me. And I I remember very specifically at that time, I was feeling quite lost. And I went home and I searched for the song and I found out it was called Finding My Way.
No way.
And I think, yeah, whether it's Christian or non-Christian, I think like there's certain things that I have to be careful of because I love music and I love like there's a type of music called grime, but it can be lyrically unhelpful. So I try not to listen to too much of that. But I do think we're all made in God's image, and I do think that music can kind of speak about something. And this is a song that had no lyrics, that can just speak of something of God. Or of humanity's search for God. I think that's something that art really, I mean, even before I became a Christian, I really felt like there were certain movies that I'd watch which were stories about people, but it would leave me kind of, there's got to be more to their story. There's got to be more to that character. There's got to be more to, there's something about it. And in this song specifically, I felt there was a yearning, a cry, like, I mean, I know it's a spiritual term.
Do you like any Korean Christian artists? We're curious, or I'm curious, you know.
Yeah.
You don't have to say Brian Kim. Don't worry.
Who's that?
I don't know. I have no idea. Another guy.
Of course.
Yeah, but what are you blessed by? You know.
Yeah, I mean, I've again like Talbit Mao.
달빛 마을, right? 달빛 마을. What is it in English? Moonlight Village.
Moonlight Village.
Yeah. Right, they're amazing. Yeah.
주가 일하시네 우리 모인 이곳에 주가 일하시네 신뢰하며 걷는 자.
Just so helpful. Such a blessing.
Especially for like house worship, right? And personal worship.
Yeah, exactly.
A great model for that.
And I think for me as well, because my Korean's not amazing, it's helped me to really focus on the lyrics a little bit more. And you know, kind of, I've started reading the Bible in Korean every now and again, and I can just find like that. So there was one thing that I think it was Matthew 6 I talked about earlier, where I think Jesus says 걱정 하지 마십시오, or something like that. It was like the shipshio was like very command. But in English it's just like don't worry, which can be quite unhelpfully nuanced in English, you know. So I find songs in Korean can be super helpful. Although one time I did say 역사하다 to someone in conversation, and they were like, they had no idea what I was talking about, because it's like so you've got to be careful which words you use and how often they're used. But I like that as well, because it feels like certain words are not necessarily reserved, but you can only use them with 하나님 항상 역사하고 있어요. You know, he never stops working. You know, he's like always working.
Right. Definitely.
But then if you try and use it for yourself, it's not always the best way to learn Korean. But you know.
Well, yeah, definitely through Korean praise songs and Korean scripture, you know, we're learning Korean.
Yeah.
That's how I learned Korean.
Right.
It was through Korean Bible study. And they had the word 육신. You know 육신? Yushin is flesh. Flesh. So I thought that before I could speak Korean, I encountered the word yukshin, flesh, and I thought all Koreans spoke that like normally, like. So I was like, oh my yukshin looks so like. You know? I even like used it once in front of a producer. You know, I was on a KBS like documentary a long time ago, and they were interviewing me.
Wow.
And the producer's like, well, aren't you tired like driving from like San Antonio to Houston doing like mission work? And I was like, my yukshin is all may look tired, but my soul. He like almost slapped me, you know. Wow. He was looking at me, you know, like I was so weird, yeah. But that's how I learned Korean.
Learn the hard way.
Yeah, but it's
good.
definitely
It's good.
It definitely can be help through worship songs and through praise songs, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
do you have any prayer requests or some plans for the future? For your YouTube, for your own personal life. If you would like to share with us, we will pray for you. We're all from not just Korea, but from Indonesia, Brazil, America, people all over the world.
Wow.
We want to pray for you, So if you share with us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Practically, you can pray that I'll have like supernatural ability to speak Korean.
Yes.
And
Yushin.
but I guess or that God can just use that weakness I have, in that I'm not perfect. I think that could be also good. So yeah, but I mean that'd be great.
Tell us about your YouTube. I know it's been it's been blessing so many people.
Yeah, I guess that we'll just keep. If you could pray that we'll just keep bringing God into all that we do, not get complacent, and that God will really provide the stories that we can tell.
How often do you shoot these videos?
So we
and produce. How long does it take?
It's been a bit of a crazy year with COVID and me being back in the UK for a bit, but we were putting 2 episodes out a week.
Oh, 2 episodes per wow.
Yeah, we're doing 1 at the moment. I think we're going to go back to 2 soon. But depending on what we're doing, it can take quite a lot of time. It's quite time consuming. Like we shoot, we edit, then Dan does all the jamak, the subtitles. It just takes time. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah. All our viewers they're gonna subscribe to your channel, and I'm sure they're already subscribed, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, but
We'll see.
hopefully we can, or we will continue to pray and support you. People will have a new perspective on your channel, right? Or on you as well,
Cool.
And we're thankful that you were able to sing with us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
That meant a lot for all of us, for
Thank you.
taking a step forward in faith, right?
Yeah.
And worshiping with us. It was a true
Thank you.
blessing,
Thank
and hopefully God will continue to use you in a mighty way, not just in Korea but all over the world to be a salt and a light.
Yeah. Cool.
And we are so honored to have you on our show, fellow lover of Jesus, passionate worshiper, and God's beloved. We're so honored to have you today on our show.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. 감사합니다. 예, 조울이었습니다. 조. Thank you everyone for watching our show today. We ask that you would subscribe and click the bell button. We ask for your support. Leave a comment, share with your friends. We're asking a lot, but we will continue to be a blessing to you. And hopefully you can subscribe right now. God bless.